welcome to the show. So happy to have you gentlemen here, and so happy to be talking about this amazing project. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to see you again, right?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
super excited about this project. When I received the press release, and I had been hearing some rumblings about some things that AHF was going to be doing, and then when I received the press release, I started jumping up because I was like, "Oh, my boy Nathan is doing his thing!" And then, of course, you, Dyllon, to be able to see you in this along with Jennifer Lewis, just really excited. And then the message, this amazing message that George M. Johnson is putting out there through this book, All Boys Aren't Blue. And so let's talk about that. So Nathan, you're directing, you've had to reinterpret this from the book. What was that like, and how did you get connected to this project, I'll say?
Well, first, it was a serendipitous occasion because I just finished reading the book and I had said to myself, I need to reach out to George to congratulate them, to, just say thank you for writing this. And I knew that it had already had such a large impact on people, but it had a personal impact on me. And then I got a call from Amara Kennedy, who is leading up Black at AHF. And they asked me to imagine a dramatic reading. And of course, my mind went someplace well beyond where they had originally intended. But, the text and the work is so vivid and it just lends itself to a visual medium. And so we've taken what you probably think a dramatic reading is and elevated it even further. And then we have these amazing performances led by Dyllon and Jennifer Lewis that just really make this something special. So I'm so glad I said yes, even though when they called me, it was at the end of 2020 and I was exhausted. But it's one of those things that I'm glad I overlooked my exhaustion and decided to come on board.
Yeah, and I felt that it was a natural fit since most of your previous film projects have been about the Black gay experience. So to be able to delve into this, I just felt I was like, oh, I know he's having the time of his life with this.
Well, this is the first one that I've done in a long time since Dirty Laundry, that centers around, Black queerness and, Black gay men and women in America. So it was time to revisit. Dirty Laundry was a gazillion years ago, it seems like. And so what better work to revisit it than All Boys Aren't Blue?
Yeah. And Dyllon, let's talk about your connection to the project and who you will be playing in this presentation.
Yeah, so I am playing the youngest version of George from the first chapter of the book. I have been fortunate enough to have met George in New York City prior to working on this project. Have a lot of mutual friends, being a part of the Black queer creative crowd in New York. We've gotten a chance to hang out on a number of occasions, and so was super excited about the release of their book. And we've talked about it, and then this opportunity came up that Nathan asked me to be a part of, and I jumped at the opportunity because I had already loved George and his work, and I love Nathan too. I didn't know his work, but I knew Nathan, and so was grateful to be able to work with these two incredible creatives.
Absolutely. This work also features the one and only, the mother of Black Hollywood, Miss Jennifer Lewis. So I'll start with you, Nathan. What was it like being reunited with her for this particular project?
Well, Jen and I met Jen when we were doing Dirty Laundry filming in Atlanta in 2006, and we became family, and we've been connected and our family ever since then. And we've actually written a movie together when she gets around time to actually film it, because she's super busy doing Blackish and now her new show. And, Jennifer is, like I said, she's family, but even with family, you save your asks for the right thing. And I knew that well, first of all, when we were talking, George said, well, I've always just imagined my grandmother being Jennifer Lewis. I said, well, I happen to know Jennifer Lewis. And so I called Jen and I gave her the background about the book. She actually read the book, loved it, and immediately said yes. And she just adds such a wonderful spirit to everything she does. She literally is the mother of Black Hollywood. And when you hear her voice come in this piece, it gives you a warmth and a familiarity that no one else does like Jennifer Lewis.
This is all in response to the National Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, which is taking place on February 7th. And of course, this performance is taking place on Monday, February the 8th, because of the Super Bowl. But there are three components to this evening. There's the reading, there's also some more information, like a town hall, if you will, and then there's going to be music. So Nathan, can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Well, yeah, when 2020 hit, we all had to make a pivot, right? And so we all had to adapt and be flexible and be pliable in the way we present work. And so we decided to not only present the film, which in of itself could be a moment, we decided to encapsulate it around a virtual event, which starts off, there's a pre-show that starts off at 7 p.m. and there's a DJ and an art showing curated by Love Jones. There's some messaging, around HIV and AIDS, because that's the point of the evening, is to bring the Black community together to reduce stigma around HIV and AIDS, and then come together as a community to not just to combat HIV and AIDS, but around everything. It's a more global mission. So you're going to get all those kinds of messages. Trinice is debuting a new video, and then we're going to follow up with a 15-minute talk back with Dyllon, George, and some other people. So it's going to be a night. Get your cocktails ready, get your popcorn ready, and come and spend a couple of hours with us.
And Dyllon, I have to ask, how has working on Pose, or how did working on Pose help you with this performance?
Wow, it's a big question. I think that Pose has been instrumental in a lot of my growth in the past 3.5, 4 years now, that since we have this COVID year that seems like it's forever. But Pose has just been instrumental in a lot of my growth as a human being, understanding more the complexities of identity through meeting so many different folks with so many different experiences, which is what I think Nathan is speaking to. This evening is an opportunity for us to come together as Black folks, and learn from one another, to learn about the differences in our stories and where we come from, and how our identities can be so disparate, but we're all connected by a common thread. And so I've learned that through working on Pose, both as an artist and as a human being. And also I'm always trying to find ways to grow, and I'm grateful to have work like Pose that challenges me to grow as an actor and as an artist. So, it's Pose influences everything that I do at this point.
Wow. So Nathan, I have to ask, and Dyllon, I'd love for you to chime in as well. What COVID-19 has taught us, or has shown us, is that there were issues that we had going on in society that we kind of, shoved under the rug, that we did not address, but having to be at home, having not to be able to go to parties and be as fabulous as we wanted to be in the past, we've all had to address and really look at some very hard questions, some very hard issues. Do you think that we are turning a corner within the African American community regarding HIV/AIDS and the stigma around it? I know that that is the theme for the evening, but do you think that we've now finally turned a corner, now that everyone has been forced to sit down and really look at issues over the last year?
Well, I think one of the benefits, if you look at it, I think the right way of being at home, is you have to deal with the self, right? You have to deal with home first. I don't think we have turned the corner. I am hopeful that with events like this and conversations like this, that we can begin to turn the corner, but we must first eradicate all of the divisiveness within our community. And I think the work speaks to that, and how George has penned this work talking about the intersectionality of his Black queerness and his Blackness, is something that we have to reconcile and deal with in our community, because it's all connected to HIV/AIDS stigma, and that's preventing us from turning that corner. I mean, as we know, that there are other communities where we've seen their infection rates go down and ours continue to rise. And I think at the core of that is dealing with Black queerness within the Black community and really having those frank discussions. So I'm encouraged. I've learned a lot. let's be clear, you know, even as a Black gay man, I've learned a lot from Dyllon and from George and from all of our conversations about non-binary and gender identity, and I just have learned a plethora of information. So I hope that our program and the film will also educate, and we can start building up our community and breaking down those walls so we can turn the corner.
And for you, Dyllon, any feedback or anything you want to add?
Sure. I just say that COVID-19 has taught us what we can live with, what we must absolutely have, and it's taught us what we can live without, the things that are extra in our lives, and it's taught us the things that we cannot live without, the things that are a must for us, and all of the hate and divisiveness within the community. That's one of those things that we can do without. But what we can't do without is each other. And I think that us having to be apart has really undergirded that truth. It supported that truth that we can't live without each other. We need the person to our left, our right, in front, behind us. And the more that we come into that awareness, I think the more we'll be able to see the humanity in the next person and turn that corner that you're talking about.
Guys, thank you so much for being my guest today on the show. We're talking about All Boys Aren't Blue. It is a dramatic reading of this amazing book by George M. Johnson. And that's, again, taking place on Monday, February the 8th at 8 p.m. And give the platform that anyone can catch this in the US.
So yes, if you go to abab2021.eventbrite.com, it'll give you can register, and then all of the links and viewing links will go out, but we'll also be live streaming it on youtube.com/InhaleMegaV.